What if I told you the most powerful man on earth never trusted words? No promises, no explanations, not even intentions. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and ruler of an empire, learned something most people never do. People don't hide who they are. They reveal it constantly. While others wasted energy guessing motives, Marcus watched something far more dangerous: patterns. Not what people said when it was easy, but what they did when pressure arrived. Because lies require effort. Charm requires performance. But character leaks. It leaks in moments of stress. It leaks when power is given. It leaks when there's nothing to gain. Marcus used one Stoic rule to see through manipulation, false loyalty, and hidden agendas without anger, without suspicion. And once you understand this rule, you'll never look at people the same way again. Act 1. The problem: in a world of mass, people perform. They say the right words. They smile at the right moment. They promise what you want to hear. And slowly, without noticing, you begin to trust the performance. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people aren't fooled because others lie well. They're fooled because they ask the wrong question. We keep asking, do they mean well? Marcus Aurelius never asked that. As a Roman emperor, Marcus lived surrounded by ambition, flattery, betrayal, and hidden agendas. According to historians, more than 70% of Roman emperors were assassinated or overthrown. If you misjudged people, you didn't lose money. You lost your life. So Marcus learned this early: words are cheap. Intentions are invisible. But behavior is loud. Say it with me: behavior is loud. Marcus wrote in his private journal, later known as Meditations: people do what they do for their own reasons. Observe them calmly, not judge, not condemn. Observe. Most of us don't do that. We react. We personalize. We explain people's behavior for them. And that's how we get manipulated. Here's a modern example. A coworker always speaks confidently in meetings. They promise results. They blame circumstances when things fail. You feel they're competent. But 6 months later, nothing has improved. Marcus would say, you didn't observe long enough. Because the first mistake is emotional attachment. The second mistake is believing words over patterns. And here's the dangerous part. Once you trust the wrong people, you stop trusting your own judgment. Pause for a second. Breathe. Ask yourself who in your life talks well, but acts inconsistently, because in the next part, Marcus Aurelius reveals what to watch instead of words. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Act 2, the Stoic Insight. Marcus Aurelius believes something radically simple and brutally effective. Don't judge people by what they say. Judge them by what they repeatedly do, especially under pressure. Not once, not when it's convenient, but patterns. Say it with me: patterns never lie. As a Roman emperor, Marcus lived in a constant state of human testing. Generals who pledged loyalty in public but hesitated in battle. Advisors who praised him loudly yet disappeared when decisions became dangerous. Friends who smiled in peace and betrayed in crisis. And Marcus noticed something unsettling. People rarely act out of character. They act into it. Here's the Stoic insight most people miss. Pressure doesn't change people. It reveals them. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Under stress, the brain shifts from the prefrontal cortex, where logic and self-control live, to the limbic system, where habits dominate. Studies show that over 90% of behavior under stress is habitual, not intentional. Marcus understood this nearly 2,000 years ago. He wrote, paraphrase, "When circumstances press hard, the true nature of a person emerges." Pause here. Take a breath. Think about the last time someone disappointed you. Ask yourself honestly, was it sudden or was it consistent? Because disappointment usually comes from ignoring patterns, not from being unlucky. Marcus trained himself to observe people the way a physician observes symptoms. A doctor doesn't hate the illness. He doesn't take it personally. He doesn't argue with the symptoms. He observes calmly. Marcus did the same. When someone lied, he didn't react with anger. He noted it. When someone avoided responsibility, he didn't chase explanations. He marked the pattern. When someone acted with integrity under pressure, he remembered it. Say it with me: observe, don't absorb. This is where most people fail. We absorb behavior emotionally. Marcus observed behavior strategically. He warned himself in Meditations. Do not be shocked when people act according to their nature. That sentence alone can save you years of confusion. Here's a real-world example. Imagine a manager who speaks about teamwork, transparency, and values. But when mistakes happen, they shift blame. When credit is due, they take it. When pressure hits, they protect themselves. The words say one thing, the behavior says another. Marcus would tell you, stop debating which version is real. The pattern already answered. Now here's a Stoic reset. Breathe in, breathe out. Say quietly, behavior is the message. Marcus ignored charm because charm is a tool. Charm is learned. Charm is often deployed when something is being hidden. But consistency is expensive. It costs effort, discipline, and character. That's why Marcus watched how people treated those beneath them. Soldiers, servants, messengers. Because power removes the need to pretend. History supports this. Psychological studies on power dynamics show that individuals with authority are 3 times more likely to reveal their true moral priorities, whether good or bad. Marcus saw this daily. And here comes the uncomfortable Stoic mirror. This rule doesn't only apply to others, it applies to you. Marcus wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." He judged himself by the same standard, not by intentions, not by excuses, but by repeated actions. Pause again. Ask yourself, under pressure, do I become clearer, or more reactive, more honest, or more defensive? Stoicism isn't about judging others harshly. It's about removing illusions, especially comforting ones. And here's the shock. If you constantly feel confused about people, it's not because people are complex. It's because you're listening to words instead of watching behavior. Words are noise. Behavior is data. Say it with me, behavior is data. In the next part, Marcus Aurelius gives us one precise rule, a mental filter so sharp it cuts through manipulation instantly. Once you understand it, you'll stop overthinking. People stop second-guessing yourself and start seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. That rule is coming next. Act 3, the secret rule. Here is the rule Marcus Aurelius lived by. The rule that allowed him to see through people without suspicion, without bitterness, and without illusion. People reveal their values through consistent action, not explanation. Say it with me. Not explanation, action. Most people never learn this. They listen to stories, they believe apologies, they trust promises. Marcus didn't. As emperor, he heard excuses every day. Generals explained defeats. Officials justified corruption. Friends rationalized betrayal. Marcus understood something uncomfortable. Explanations are often emotional theater. Actions are truth. He trained himself to ignore 3 things completely. First, dramatic stories. When someone talks at length about why something happened, Marcus didn't lean in. He leaned back. Because people who act with integrity rarely need long explanations. Modern behavioral studies support this. Research from social psychology shows that people who frequently justify their behavior are significantly more likely to repeat it. Say it with me, excuses predict repetition. Second, excuses. Marcus wrote, paraphrased, "If it is in your power to act rightly, do so. If not, accept reality." Excuses try to soften reality. Stoicism sharpens it. When someone says, "I would have done better, but," Marcus stopped listening after the word but. Because responsibility doesn't speak in conditions. Pause here. Breathe. Ask yourself, who in my life always has a reason, but never a result? Third, charm. This is the dangerous one. Charm feels good. Charm lowers your guard. Charm creates emotional debt. Marcus was surrounded by charm. Poets, philosophers, politicians. But he remembered this Stoic truth. Charm is a skill. Character is a cost. Say it with me. Character costs something. Instead of words, Marcus watched 3 behaviors. First, how people treat those beneath them. Not equals, not superiors. Those who can't fight back. Servants, soldiers, messengers. Because power removes the need to pretend. Second, how people behave when frustrated. When plans fail, when they're contradicted, when things don't go their way. Neuroscience confirms this. Under frustration, emotional filters weaken and habitual behavior surfaces. That's when the mask slips. Third, how people act when there is nothing to gain. No audience, no reward, no punishment. This is the rarest data point and the most honest one. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like the wrongdoer." He wasn't saying tolerate abuse. He was saying see clearly, then choose wisely. Here comes the Stoic reset. Say it slowly. Watch what people do when it costs them, because values only exist when they have a price. Now here's the uncomfortable twist. This rule works both ways. Marcus applied it to himself. Every night he reviewed his own actions, not his intentions, not his plans, his actions. He asked, where did I act with discipline? Where did I compromise? Where did I choose comfort over virtue? This is why Meditations was never meant to be published. It was a mirror, not a performance. And here's the shock for modern life. If you feel manipulated, betrayed, or confused repeatedly, it's not because people fooled you once. It's because you ignored the rule. Say it with me, action over explanation. Here's your practical Stoic exercise. For the next 7 days, don't confront, don't accuse, don't explain, just observe. Write down what was said, what was done, what repeated. At the end of the week, ask one question. What pattern keeps showing up? That pattern is the truth, not their words, not their intentions, not their apologies. In the next part, Marcus shows how to apply this rule in real life at work, in relationships, and with yourself without becoming cold, bitter, or detached. Because Stoicism isn't about mistrust, it's about clarity, and clarity is coming next. Act 4, real-life application. Now comes the hardest part, because understanding the rule is easy. Applying it in real life is where most people fail. Marcus Aurelius didn't study human nature for philosophy alone. He applied it daily at work, in relationships, and within himself. Let's start with work. In every workplace, there is noise. Meetings full of confident voices, emails full of polished language, promises dressed as strategy. Marcus would warn you here. Don't trust the loudest voice, trust the clearest pattern. Say it with me, patterns over persuasion. A modern study from Harvard shows that over 60% of high-performing teams fail because decisions are influenced by confidence rather than competence. Marcus saw this long before research. He watched who delivered results quietly, who stayed consistent when praise disappeared, who remained disciplined when pressure increased. Words may earn attention. Actions earn trust. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself who at my workplace consistently does what they say, even when it's inconvenient. That's who Marcus would trust. Now relationships. This is where illusions hurt the most. Marcus wrote, paraphrased, if someone loves you, their actions will not require interpretation. Love, respect, loyalty, these are not declared. They are demonstrated, repeatedly. If someone apologizes but changes nothing, Marcus would say that is not remorse, it is maintenance. Maintenance keeps access without responsibility. Say it with me, change is the apology. Psychological data confirms this. Studies show that behavioral change within 30-60 days is the strongest indicator of genuine commitment. Words without change predict repetition. Marcus didn't argue about feelings. He watched behavior over time. How someone treats you when they are tired, when they are angry, when they don't need you. That is where truth lives. Now the Stoic mirror. This rule applies to yourself, and this is where it becomes uncomfortable. Marcus judged himself by the same standard. He wrote, ask yourself at day's end, where did I live according to reason? Not where did I intend to do well, but where did I actually do well? Say it with me, I am my habits. Under pressure, who do you become? Do you become defensive or disciplined? Reactive or grounded? Modern research shows that over 40% of daily actions are habitual, not conscious decisions. Marcus understood this intuitively. That's why he focused on repetition, not motivation. Motivation fades. Habits remain. Here's a practical Stoic exercise. For the next 7 days, choose one area, work, relationships, or self-discipline. Every night, write 3 lines. What I said, what I did, what repeated. No judgment, no excuses, just data. At the end of the week, ask one question. If this pattern continued for a year, who would I become? That question alone can change a life. Now a reset. Breathe slowly. Say quietly. Reality doesn't need my approval. Marcus didn't try to control people. He aligned himself with reality. That's why he wasn't easily disappointed. Because disappointment comes from expectations detached from patterns. When you see clearly, you suffer less. And here's the final insight of this act. Seeing through people doesn't make you cold. It makes you calm. It removes resentment. It removes confusion. You stop arguing with reality. In the next part, Act 5, Marcus teaches a simple Stoic practice you can use daily to sharpen this skill without becoming cynical or isolated, because clarity is a muscle, and you're about to train it. Act 5, Stoic Practice. Knowing the rule is not enough. Marcus Aurelius understood something most people never do. Clarity is not a talent. It is a practice. You don't wake up one day suddenly seeing through people. You train your mind daily quietly without drama. Marcus called this discipline of perception, not changing others, changing how clearly you see. Here is the Stoic practice Marcus lived by and one you can use starting today. For 7 days, not forever, not perfectly, just 7 days. Say it with me, 7 days of clarity. Day 1, say less. Marcus believed excessive speech clouds judgment. When you talk too much, you stop observing. He wrote, paraphrase, be tolerant with others, strict with yourself. Today, speak only when necessary, not to impress, not to explain, not to defend. Silence creates space, and in that space, patterns appear. Pause. Breathe. Notice how much people reveal when you stop filling the air. Day 2, observe more. Not with suspicion, with curiosity. Imagine you are a historian, not a judge. Watch who keeps their word when it's inconvenient, who becomes different under pressure, who stays consistent when no one is watching. Say it with me, observe, don't interpret. Marcus warned against premature judgment because judgment blinds perception. Day 3. Write actions, not opinions. This is where the practice becomes powerful. At night, write 3 simple lines. What was said, what was done, what repeated. No adjectives, no emotions. Just facts. Psychologists call this behavioral tracking. Studies show it increases accuracy of judgment by over 40% compared to emotional recall. Marcus did this every night, not on paper for others, but in his own mind. That's how Meditations was born. Day 4, delay conclusions. This is difficult. Your brain wants closure. It wants certainty. Marcus resisted this urge. He reminded himself, time reveals what words conceal. Say it with me, time tells the truth. Instead of asking, who are they, ask, what keeps happening? Patterns need time. Give them space. Day 5, remove expectation. This is the Stoic breakthrough. Marcus believes suffering comes not from events, but from expectations misaligned with reality. When you expect people to be different than they consistently are, you suffer. When you see them clearly, you adapt. This is not pessimism, it is peace. Breathe in. Say quietly, I accept reality as it is. Day 6, apply the rule to yourself. This is where Stoicism separates thinkers from practitioners. Marcus judged himself ruthlessly but fairly. He asked nightly, where did I act according to virtue? Where did I repeat a weakness? Where did I choose comfort over character? Not to feel guilt, but to see clearly. Remember, you cannot see through others if you lie to yourself. Day 7. Choose wisely. After 7 days, patterns will be obvious. Not because people change, but because you stopped being distracted. Now you decide who deserves trust, who deserves distance, who deserves boundaries. Marcus believed boundaries were not cruelty, they were clarity. He wrote, do not allow your mind to be shaped by what you tolerate. Say it with me. What I tolerate trains me. Here's the emotional truth. When you stop over-explaining people, you feel lighter. When you stop chasing clarity from words, you feel calmer. When you stop fighting reality, you gain power. Marcus ruled an empire under constant war, betrayal, and loss, yet remained composed. Not because people were good, but because he saw them clearly. In the final part, Act 6, we close with the deepest Stoic lesson Marcus left behind. Not about judging people, but about freeing yourself. Stay with me. Act 6, the Stoic Close. Marcus Aurelius never tried to expose people. He never chased truth by confrontation. He never demanded honesty from a dishonest world. He did something far more powerful. He saw people clearly and accepted reality without illusion. This is the final Stoic lesson. Most suffering does not come from what people do. It comes from what we expect them to be. Marcus understood this deeply. He wrote, paraphrased, "You will meet people who are dishonest, selfish, and ungrateful. Expect this, and you will not be disturbed." That sentence sounds cold until you understand it. Marcus wasn't teaching bitterness. He was teaching freedom. Because when you stop expecting figs from olive trees, you stop being disappointed by olives. Say it with me, I release false expectations. Marcus ruled during wars, plagues, betrayals, and personal loss. He buried children. He faced rebellions. He was surrounded by people who smiled and plotted at the same time. Yet historians describe him as calm, disciplined, and fair. Why? Because he didn't argue with reality. He didn't ask, why are people like this? He asked, given how people are, how should I act? That question changes everything. Pause, breathe, notice the shift. Stoicism is not about distrusting everyone. It's about trusting reality. When you see people clearly, you stop taking behavior personally. You stop internalizing betrayal. You stop replaying conversations in your head. Because clarity dissolves resentment. Marcus wrote, "The tranquility of the soul comes from accepting what you cannot control." You cannot control people's character, but you can control your distance, your boundaries, and your response. That is power. Say it with me, clarity is power. Here's the paradox. When you stop trying to expose people, they reveal themselves faster. When you stop reacting emotionally, patterns become obvious. When you stop demanding explanations, actions speak loudly. Marcus never needed revenge. He never needed closure. Seeing clearly was enough. And now the final mirror. This philosophy isn't about becoming emotionally distant. It's about becoming internally sovereign. Marcus wasn't numb. He cared deeply. But he didn't attach his peace to other people's behavior. He anchored it in reason. He reminded himself, "My mind is mine alone." That is Stoic freedom. So here is your final practice. When someone disappoints you, ask, is this new or is this consistent? If it's consistent, accept it. Adjust your expectations, adjust your access. No drama, no speeches, just clarity. This is how Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire without losing his soul. And this is how you can move through the modern world calmer, sharper, and harder to manipulate. If this message helped you see people more clearly, if it gave you words for what you've always felt but couldn't explain, do 3 things. Like this video, so this wisdom reaches others who are tired of confusion. Share it with someone who needs clarity, not comfort. And subscribe to the channel Making Life Better for more Stoic wisdom you can actually use in real life. And now, one last thing. Comment just one word, clarity. Type clarity. If you choose to see people as they are, not as you wish them to be, remember this. The truth about people is never hidden. It is revealed, patiently, to those disciplined enough to watch. This was Marcus Aurelius's secret, and now it's yours.